And yeah, I believe what you're saying too. And people believe conspiracy theories, and I'm like, no conspiracy theories. If you have a small business, they make it damn near impossible to thrive, let alone you got to kind of survive, right? You got to be doing, and that's kind of what this.
Well, you got to make a profit.
Yeah.
If you can't make a profit, you're not going to be in business.
Did you hear about that new thing? If you have 4 employees, you have to get them a 401k by the end of this month.
Yeah, it's not a 401k.
Okay.
So how that works, I think you're talking about the Cal Savers.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's, you got, from my understanding, it's 5 employees. So if you have 5 or more employees, you have to set up an account with Cal Savers, which is going, I'm assuming, in the CalPERS and, those I don't even want to get into them. I mean, just 10 years ago, they were like almost bankrupt, Anyway, so 5 or more employees, you have to set up a deal where they can elect to take money out of their check, and it would go right into this savings account, this alleged savings account that California's got set up. It's another way for California to put money into their general fund, and have to worry about it. I mean, think about it. These people are 18, 19, 20 years old. They're not retiring for 40, 50 years, so they don't have to worry about, this money coming back out for 40 or 50 years. So that's another source of revenue that is going to go eventually into the general fund.
What does an employer have to do? Just set it up? Do they have to contribute something?
So right now, it's totally 100% employee generated.
Okay.
Where you have to set up the account and you have to offer it to them, and they can opt out. They can sign a waiver, say, I don't want to do this, and they don't have to do that. But the employer, it's the employer's responsibility to set up. This is another thing that the employer has to do. Employers get no compensation for it. You have to take the time to set it up. It's just another piece of red tape that California does. California ranks dead last in business-friendly environment. And it's because we have the largest government of any state. Well, maybe New York might be in there, but I don't think so. I think California has the largest amount of government employees. You got to pay those people.
That's true.
And I'm gonna tell you something. Government employees, they bring some bucks in.
I know.
It's like, I mean, six figures is like an entry level, and you don't see that on the private side. So there's a lot of bad stuff they got to deal with, and and if you don't deal with it, then you'll get probably fined, or I don't know if they'll get Department of Labor involved in it, but those guys ain't Girl Scouts over there.
Podcasting.
Really?
Well, I had a Prius. Gas is cheap.
Yeah.
Be like.
Oh yeah. Well, it was a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it was like $15 for 400 miles. So, and then there'd be days.
100 now.
Yeah. No, it's 30. Still not. It's a Prius,
Yeah.
I mean,
How much does it cost to fill that?
30, 35 right now. Right now.
That's got to have a tiny little tank.
I think it's like 6 or 7 miles. Or
my truck's got a 25-gallon tank.
Yeah.
So $100, because normally like credit cards and stuff, they'll stop at, not all of them, but they'll stop at like $100.
Credit cards?
Well, you can have it set up.
Okay, yeah.
So
the limit, right?
Yeah, that way if somebody gets it and they go fill their tank up, they get $100. But so anyway, $100 gives me like 3/4 of a tank in my truck.
Well, I also have a Dodge Ram, but I don't.
Yeah, so you probably don't drive. Well, normally I drive my bike.
Yeah. And I have a cycle bike that I'm like, I'll take it to work sometimes. So
look, man, it was, I'm all for converting it over to, electric and everything.
But we don't have anything, right? Buses, trains.
But here's the deal: we don't have the technology to do that yet.
You want to put them on? We can start right now.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what we're doing.
Just talking like we're talking right now. Yeah, like the exact same thing. So probably just pull the mic in closer to you. Probably a little more closer, like a fist length. You could pull in your chair. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Can you hear me now?
A little closer.
How's that?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's great. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the NorCalX YouTube channel podcast. With me today, I have Dennis Dahle or Dahl. Dahl. He's the owner of Future Fitness, motorcycle enthusiast. Every time I talk to him, I'm like, this guy's a perfect guest. But finally, after years of talking to him, I finally got him on. And we're talking right now, earlier, before we started, about gas. I had the gal from the Brick House in Marysville. I don't know if you know where that is.
I do not.
I think it's on D Street. She took it over during the pandemic. The original owner sold it to her. She used to have like a wedding venue called Lone Oak Ranch on Highway 70. And she was telling me the same thing about gas, right? Because she drives like a big, I don't know, Denali or something. And she was saying that it was stopping, like not because of the credit card, but like the machines were stopping at like 150 or something.
Well, yeah, you can set up your cards to stop, your debit card or your credit card to stop at any amount that you want. But normally $100, you could easily fill up your tank. And I got a GMC Sierra, and it's got 25-gallon tank, so $100 gets you 3/4 of a tank.
3/4, huh? You're going to Sam's Club, or where are you going?
No, I normally just I try to just stay local, right where I live. There's a little quick stop.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little bit more, but they're a mom and pop, and I'm all for supporting that mom and pop.
I'm the exact same thing, Dennis.
They gotta, I gotta put food on the table, and I just think, there's nothing wrong with the big stores. They can bring in good prices, but everything can't be a big commercial store. Because
then that's all you're gonna have, right? Well,
these little stores, they employ a lot of people. It may be 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there, but that all adds up. And I know, as far as the government would much rather have 5 companies that controlled everything, but it's because it's so much easier for the government to control 5 big companies than millions and millions of little mom and pops. And that's one thing that I don't like, that, because that's too much government control. And the whole founding of our country is not to have that government control. It's supposed to be the country of, by, and for the people. And it's becoming more and more government control. Just try to think of something that the government doesn't have the little fingers in.
Everything.
That you do. Everything you do every day is government control. And there's nothing wrong with government control, but it needs to be limited.
Well,
it has to have its limits. And now, with what's going on, I don't see them limiting anything except for taking more control.
And the way that you see it, I see it a little kind of similar, but a little different. I feel corporations control the government, right? They have lobbyists. They put money in people's pockets. Right. Nobody inside the government has a real job. Sometimes they come from multi-families or kind of, hey, what do I do for you? Or you
Narcissist.
Put me, yeah, right. And what you put me in this position, and all I care about is getting reelected. And even like the people that don't come out on TV and are governors or anything, they've been in government for 20, 30 years.
The nepotism in California is rampant.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, I believe what you're saying too. And people believe conspiracy theories, and I'm like, no conspiracy theories. If you have a small business, they make it damn near impossible to thrive, let alone you got to kind of survive, right? You got to be doing, and that's kind of what this.
Well, you got to make a profit.
Yeah.
If you can't make a profit, you're not going to be in business.
Did you hear about that new thing? If you have 4 employees, you have to get them a 401k. by the end of this
Yeah,
month?
it's not a 401k.
Okay.
So how that works, I think you're talking about the Cal Savers.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's, you got, from my understanding, it's 5 employees. So if you have 5 or more employees, you have to set up an account with Cal Savers, which is going, I'm assuming, in the CalPERS and, those I don't even want to get into them. I mean, just 10 years ago, they were like almost bankrupt, Anyway, so 5 or more employees, you have to set up a deal where they can elect to take money out of their check, and it would go right into this savings account, this alleged savings account that California's got set up. It's another way for California to put money into their general fund, and have to worry about it. I mean, think about it. These people are 18, 19, 20 years old. They're not retiring for 40, 50 years, so they don't have to worry about, this money coming back out for 40 or 50 years. So that's another source of revenue that is going to go eventually into the general fund.
What does an employer have to do? Just set it up? Do they have to contribute something?
So right now, it's totally 100% employee generated.
Okay.
Where you have to set up the account and you have to offer it to them, and they can opt out. They can sign a waiver, say, I don't want to do this, and they don't have to do that. But the employer, it's the employer's responsibility to set up. It's just another thing that the employer has to do. Employers get no compensation for it. You have to take the time to set it up. It's just another piece of red tape that California does. California ranks dead last in business-friendly environment, and it's because of we have the largest government of any state. Well, maybe New York might be in there, but I don't think so. I think California has the largest amount of government employees. You got to pay those people.
That's true.
And I'm gonna tell you something. Government employees, they bring some bucks in.
I know.
It's like, I mean, six figures is like an entry level, and you don't see that on the private side. So there's a lot of bad stuff they got to deal with, and and if you don't deal with it, then you'll get probably fined, or I don't know if they'll get Department of Labor involved in it, but those guys ain't Girl Scouts over there.
So
Because I wanted to get out of it right away, but then I got stuck at Sioux Falls, and then I was in Palm Springs, and I was in Bremerton, Washington.
And that was year round, every month, every couple of weeks. How did that work?
Yeah, it depending on the size of the show. Some of them would be bigger, and that they would take a little longer to get it set up. Some of them were in arenas, and you have to get dirt hauled in, and it was just just not my thing.
Back-breaking work, a lot of labor. What was the fun thing about it? A lot of single women running around everywhere. What do they call them? Rodeo bunnies or yeah?
I don't know. It's like, I didn't think so. I didn't really.
It just wasn't your thing.
It's like some people like to needlepoint, some people like to drag race.
Yeah.
That just wasn't my thing. I was always into working out, and I always wanted to have my own health club, which I eventually was able to do.
How long were you living here before you got your gym you have now, Future Fitness?
Yes.
Something Wilkewee Way. What's the address, sir?
On Wilwick Way.
Wilwick Way.
Yeah. So I think it was January 1st of 1997.
You got it here in this area?
When I arrived in Yuba City, and I'm from the Midwest, so they have cold weather, sub-zero, 30, 40
harsh winters,
stuff.
yeah.
And I got here January 1st, and I was in a t-shirt. It was probably 40, 50 degrees outside, and I'm like, oh, I can handle this.
Yeah.
And I was hooked. And I mean, 2 hours that way, you're in the ocean. 2 hours that way, you're in the mountains.
True.
I mean, absolutely gorgeous state. Love this state. Just hate the way it's being run.
Yeah.
And that. So I got here, and I think a friend of mine, he was working for a contractor in San Francisco welding, and I'd done some welding when I was in high school and that, and so he got me on. So for about 6 to 9 months, I worked in the Bay Area, and certified welder, structural. But yeah, I didn't fit in down there.
Why do you say you
I
didn't
tell
fit
you
in?
what, they got restrictions on certain words you can use, certain words you can't use.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was there's and I'm a American. I believe freedom. And I believe
Freedom of speech.
Hey,
I mean,
the First Amendment.
If you're not trying to offend nobody, you know what? You have a right to expression, right? Like everyone has their own little
Right.
sayings and words and things of that manner.
Right. I don't think you should be limited on your vocabulary.
Yeah.
And look, I'll be the first person. I don't listen to rap, and one of the reasons I don't listen to it, I got 2 friends that are rappers. Okay, and they go to the club. Okay, so they go into my boot camp class. So I have rapper friends, but the language they use, is not something that I want. I don't want to use that.
Yeah.
I don't. I was raised where you don't curse,
Mhm.
and I mean, guys will do it. Away from other people. Back in the day, and I'm in my 50s now, so that's not that long ago. But you rarely ever heard anybody curse.
Hmm.
And now it's like you can't really play a rap song, and I mean, you learn new language every day about it. It's like, and it's there's people that every other word in the sentence they use is the F word.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them and I'm like, man, it's like, do you say that to your mom? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe that was acceptable in
Maybe
their
that's how.
household.
Yeah.
And
Did you ever see that Ozzy Osbourne show on MTV?
I seen one.
I forgot what it was called.
It wasn't the one where him and his son were traveling.
It was him and his wife and his daughter, and all they said was word. It was beep beep.
There
beep,
was a
beep.
lot. So they were used to that type
Yeah.
of language, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with. I just don't want to be around
I hear
anybody
you.
doing it, because the problem with it is you will eventually start picking that up
Yeah.
and saying it involuntarily because you keep hearing it.
Yeah. You never know who you could offend in the process,
Yeah.
right?
Well, then it's not a problem offending people, because you're going to. If
true.
you have an opinion,
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
going to offend somebody.
Yeah. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone's always
I would-
nitpicking everything.
I would think that everybody does have an opinion. A lot of people keep it to themselves, and I appreciate that. And for the most part, it's like, I don't think I'm too outspoken. But if you ask me something, I'm going to tell you what I think. Whether you like it or not, that's your issue. But that's how I feel and how I think, and I don't think I should lie to you because it's going to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you something that I don't believe because you're not going to get offended by it. I don't feel that way at all.
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, I was raised Catholic, conservative, Hispanic, hard work and everything. You can never talk back to your parents ever, right? And even still to this day. I mean, we have different opinions of everything. And I think we all evolve with time, right? And I look at things differently, and I have an open mind. And that's why I love talking to people. I mean, we haven't talked lately, probably years, but I remember always hearing you. You're always talking, and I think it's great. I think it's great to talk, because I don't think people are talking as much and aren't seeing what's going on, and people are just accepting things and they're being told what to do, how to live. And it's kind of scary to believe that people are easily getting manipulated like that,
Right. And the biggest culprit is Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
I love the guy, brilliant guy, but he's the one that brought that Apple, but he was behind it.
Yeah.
And he brought that iPhone out. And now everybody gets whatever they want. Instant gratification.
Yeah.
All the time, 24/7 on that phone. And Facebook is huge. It became a major player. I mean, look, Zuckerberg. Why do you think Zuckerberg would want to spend $400 to $500 million on a campaign? Why do you think that is?
What did he?
4
on
to
a campaign
500.
for him or for?
No. Through Facebook, Zuckerberg spent between $400,000 and $500,000. You remember that it's article 2230. It's got some. I can't remember what it is. It shields like Twitter, Facebook from lawsuits.
Well, I didn't know that.
Right. So the last administration wanted to do away with that. It's not Article 230. It's some congressional bill, and the number is 230. I'd have to look it up before I give you some bad information.
I'll look it up.
But they wanted to do away with it. They wanted to get rid of that. That would make Zuckerberg and Twitter accountable right now. Right now, they're not. You can't sue them. You can't file lawsuits against them, and they can infringe on your rights all the time. You ever been fact checked on there?
No.
It's like if they don't like the information that you're putting out, they can just stop you. They can stop you from spreading that. And under that article, you can't do nothing about it.
You know
They're protected. And the last administration wanted to do away with that. So if the last administration would have won and got back in, they would be facing millions in lawsuits.
So I think what's going on with that too, Dennis, is we sign over our rights, right? Because we agree to. You see
Right.
that stupid.
Have you ever read the agreement?
No, of course not.
And you and 99% of the other people out there haven't read it either.
Yeah, and I think even if they were able to ratify that, we're agreeing to give up our rights, right?
Yeah,
by clicking on that.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's a lot of things that people, and especially young people, are never gonna read that thing because it just. And
look, I don't read it.
Yeah.
I don't read it because, look, I think Facebook is a good platform. I just think it's being used in a very
Manipulative way, yeah.
I think that a platform like that, with its original intention, and I don't know what Zuckerberg's original intention was. I'm pretty sure it was he just wanted to hook up with hot chicks, because that's what it started off.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. He's a college student, and it was a way to put your profile up. That's how Facebook started. You could put your profile up there, and most of it was for women, college guys and women. I mean, what else are they doing but hooking up? Well, they should be studying. but if you look back, that's what it was originally intended.
Yeah, I remember that.
When I first got onto Facebook, I thought that the intention of Facebook was so that, say, you live 2,000 miles from friends and you could keep in touch, and it would be very easy to keep in touch. Obviously, it's a little different than that. And it's being used politically, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, the politics has just gone rampant in this country, and it's not for the better.
No, and it also stifles innovation because like Google, Facebook, they just gobble up all these little competitors to come up with a different idea or a different thing that's going to take away those eyeballs and those views and those clicks. They gobble them up and they purchase them and they have them under their umbrella and they don't use it. They just throw it under the thing. I don't know if you believe conspiracy theories.
Well,
because you're not like a big thing, but there's this guy called, I forget his name, but he's the owner of Icon Motors. Have you heard of those? So they get like an old Blazer or the old Land Cruisers. They say the Land Cruisers in 1997 because they have like their double suspensions, or what's the thing on the bottom called? Axle, yeah, that it's like double welded or something. Like they're very sought after in the like automobile industries, and he renovates them, gives them new suspension, like makes it all like almost looks like brand new, and he sells those cars for like 100 and something K. And him and Rogan, and they're amazing cars. Like if you saw them, you would want one, Dennis. If you ever check out Icon, just check them out. And he talks about how that this guy that he would go to these convention centers, right? And there was everyone that had different tech, like brakes, suspensions, you name it, just brand new stuff. And there's a scientist that had a motor that ran on water.
I've seen that.
So I mean, so you've heard about that, or?
I have heard about the water conversion for they
The
convert
hydrogen.
it to hydrogen.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know the specific details, but he was saying that he went up to this guy and started talking to him, and he's like, "Holy shit, this!" And he thought it was always a boring convention. He's like, "Holy shit, this guy has some amazing stuff." And then, like, I guess some auto dealers or manufacturers got a hold of his patent or whatever, through it, just got rid of it, and then it never used. And the guy was all bitter like 3 years later or whatever. He's like, "Hey, what happened?" He's like, "I can't talk. I had to sign an NDA." And I was like, Jesus.
Did he sell his patent?
I don't know the whole ordeal, but I mean, that's a conspiracy theory, because you don't know if it's, but there's so much stuff like that technology that exists that we don't know what's happening to it, or are people really putting it out there, and
Right.
because once they buy the right to it, you're screwed with anything you make, right? Because you only get like a year or something for your patent, and then somebody can copy it.
There is a limited time on it. I don't know the specifics, but it makes perfect sense. I mean, if you're making gas-powered cars, or the ones that I think would be interested in that would be people who produce oil. Because if you can now take water and run that car, and you don't need the oil anymore, well, then you can't sell that oil to me, because I don't need your oil anymore. I could just use water. So I would think that, energy production companies would be more interested in getting that technology and not getting it to market. And that, so I know a lot of the oil companies are, starting to invest more into renewables.
Mhm.
And look, I think we should throw a lot of money at renewables, because if nuts and bolts, there's so much oil on this rock we live on. Okay, there's so much oil, and one day we'll have tapped it, and there won't be any more. So you got to be somewhere else. You got to have some source of energy. So we need to push for those new sources of energy. It may be a source of energy we haven't even discovered yet that's going to revolutionize it. But until we get there, we still have to have oil, because right now I don't know of any planes that you can put 500 people in, and it's got a battery that's going to take you from here halfway around the world. I don't know any ships that you can put 20,000 containers on and run it across the ocean that runs on battery. So we still have to have those fossil fuels. But we need to put a lot of energy into getting ourselves away from that, because eventually, and look, in our lifetime, this isn't going to happen. There's plenty of fossil fuels for our lifetime. But we need to start now, because eventually it's going to be gone. And it needs to go to renewables.
What do you think about the bullet train that they're making? I think we voted it in like 2008 or something.
Well, I didn't vote for it.
You didn't?
I didn't vote for it.
I did. I thought it would be a great idea, but look at it.
But we got sold that bill for $11 billion. They're over like $110 billion already. They don't even own all the land that they have to connect this thing together. And it's only, what's it, from like Bakersfield to LA or something? It's not that far.
From what I thought, it was like Fresno to like somewhere close to the Bay Area. Not really the Bay Area. I don't know, but it doesn't eminent domain work where they just take your land,
Yes, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Because if you had a house,
no, I know,
and you lived in that train, in the corridor, they could come in and go, "Oh, this is fair market value for it. Here's the money. Get out," and you would have to go. So where's your rights as a citizen there? Right. I mean, that's just
when I was married, I had a house over there by Arroyo Ranchero, that new subdivision, and one of the neighbors was a lawyer for the eminent domain for Caltrans, and I remember telling her, I was like, "How is that right?" And she was like, "Oh, we give them fair value, but is it really worth that fair value? You guys."
Yeah, she's not the one that has to pack up her stuff and move somewhere else. It's always different when you have to actually do it. It's easy to watch somebody work all day.
Yeah, I know.
If it's 100 degrees outside and you got 4 people out there and you're watching them work, and you're in a nice air conditioned unit or whatever, and you're watching them sweat all day long, and you're like, "Oh, that didn't look that tough." But it's a lot different when you're out there in
Yeah,
that heat,
I know.
actually doing that work.
I know.
So if the shoe was on the other foot, she was the one getting evicted. I bet her attitude towards that would change a little bit.
Yeah, and that's another big issue too. Managers managing, right? They just keep hiring managers and keep, you know.
That's the worst job to have as a manager.
But
you're accountable for all the crap that happens, and you get none of the glory of when it's all done.
Yeah.
So,
and I can relate to you because you've done physical labor, you've done welding, and I kind of always been doing, you know, working in the fields, doing odd construction jobs, playing football. Always loved working out. And there's a feeling though. There's a feeling of accomplishment when you get that, even in like crazy heat like this, right? Because I think about it too, and I go, fuck, because I see people working or they come into the business and they eat, and I see them in their orange or green jumpsuits, and I go, dude, if that was me, I'd have a fucking Camelback on and like replacement in the coolers, just thinking in my head, like, what would I do to try to be able to work out there, you know? And because I just always think, how can I help people? How can I, because I don't, sometimes people don't like think, like, what can they do to make things easier for them? Like, don't drink soda, don't drink beer. I see people coming in, I'm like, dude, don't drink that. Have some lemon.
So
and people don't even know juice from a lemon has electrolytes.
Right.
And do you know about pink Himalayan salt?
No.
So I guess it's pink because it's full of minerals, and that's like the number one thing that we lose is salt, right? That's the one thing that we have. And if you just add like a pinch of it to your water with lemon, there you go, a free thing that UFC fighters use when they're weight cutting and everything to getting back that depletion.
Well, yeah, that salt will retain water in that, so that's a good thing.
So a lot of people say restaurants and gyms are the worst businesses to open. That 8 out of 10 fail. And here you are. How many years after you took over?
I've heard it's higher than that.
Higher than that?
But that could be right. I haven't looked at that data. But I got that gym in June of 2003.
Okay.
So we're at 19 years now, and still going. So you'll like this. We just put in a new 12 station multi-crossover station in there. We just got it
in the dungeon, or
no, in the main floor. We just got it in this weekend.
Check it out. What is it again?
It's a multi-station, a 12 station. You know the Nebula one we had in the back, that crossover station we had.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like twice the size of that. That had 4 stations.
Okay.
This has 12.
12.
And we ordered that in January, and it just came in a Saturday.
Wow. And they set it up pretty quick.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take 2-3 hours, but it's all the equipment you got to move to get it where you want to, and then you got to attach it all down and then. So it's but 6 months. Normally, when we would order equipment, it'd be 3-4 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. And so I'm thinking maybe that Buttigieg guy isn't the right guy we should have in there for transportation.
Well, another thing too is nothing's made here no more, right? Because all these corporations took everything overseas, and that's
our fault.
It is.
That's our administrations, and I say our fault, not us as the people. Our political people we put in there, they're the ones that are shoving all those jobs overseas. They're the ones that are making that happen. And the good thing about the last administration is those manufacturers were coming back. They were starting to build factories back here again, which we need, because then you're not, you don't have, our president's running over to Saudi Arabia right now to beg for oil instead of, drilling and tapping into the resources that we have here and getting those pipelines going. We have all the fuel we need. We don't need any of theirs. So why would we do that? I mean, you got to think about that. Why would we do that? You just got to look at Hunter Biden's bank account, and then you'll know why.
Yeah.
We got to do that.
Yeah.
So
what do you think the whole collusion with Russia is? Do you think they're trying to get Putin out?
Who's colluding
well,
with Russia?
not collusion, but they're weren't they saying that what's his name? Hunter Biden was doing something. Was it with Ukraine or was it with Russia?
So Hunter Biden got a position on Burisma oil, the oil company
in Ukraine.
In Ukraine.
Okay. I thought it was Russia for some reason.
Well, I mean, they're what neighbors. workers.
Yeah.
So and the Ukrainians pretty much all speak Russian. So, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so he got a position on the Burisma board, and in the text messages from all the documents through FOIA that were revealed, he was paid between 70, 120,000 a month for being on the board. Hunter Biden doesn't even know what oil looks like. Okay, so I mean, I don't know why he would be on that board, other than that's the direct connection to at that time. Joe Biden was the vice president. So now you got to look at, okay, Hunter's getting all this money. How's it getting filtered to the big guy? Because remember how it was always the big guy's got to get 10%? So Hunter has shell companies set up that this money is deposited into. And those shell companies are paying the mortgages on Biden's house and all of his expenses and stuff like that. So that's how you funnel that money through that. So you funnel the money to the politicians through the kids, and it's just sad that it's happening at all. But Ukraine had a big problem, and I don't know, they may still have a big problem with corruption. They got corrupt officials there.
Well, it's a little similar to Russia, where there's the media doesn't have the right to report what's going on. You know what I mean? They're kind of silenced.
Right. You don't think that's happening here?
Well, yeah.
I mean, think about our media.
Yes. But like us, we can't be silent. Well, kind of. YouTube can take us down. Well,
Sure
I can't say that they can't, but yeah, it happens pretty much everywhere. But I think with a government like that, they kind of let you see what you want to see, right? Like China always says, "Oh, we're doing this," and we know there's no way of trusting anything coming out of China, right?
Well, I mean, I personally wouldn't trust them. But,
yeah.
I'm sure there's good people there. There's good people everywhere. The problem is there's bad people everywhere too.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But going back to the Ukraine deal with Biden, Joe Biden as vice president they obviously had a setup with the cameras in front of them, and there were 3 or 4 people on stage. And he was explaining how there was this prosecutor that was investigating Burisma. And Biden said, well, if that investigator doesn't get fired, you're not getting your $1.5 billion in support. And then he goes, well, I'll be damned. 6 hours later, he was fired. Now you tell me how that's not quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing they were trying to nail with the last administration. They were doing. It's like they come out and say it and nothing happens. It's like, so where's our justice system? Why aren't we getting into that? Why aren't we stopping that type of activity? Because if you get away with speeding, you'll probably take a chance on speeding again. And then if you get away with it again, you're more likely to speed again. And eventually you hope that person will get caught, but they could continuously get away with this and get away with it. And it just emboldens them to do more and more and more. So if nobody's ever going to go to jail, why would they worry about it? Why would they worry about doing this stuff? Obviously, it's to enrich themselves.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true, 100%. I believe that. So, what do you think's going on right now with because the prison system is getting overfilled? Is that why they're letting everybody out
so quickly? Do you think it's overfilled?
I don't know. I haven't been in there. I don't know how many exist. I know there's a lot of them, right? I mean, I know there's one where in Emeryville or Susanville, right?
But are they overfilled because they're shutting them down and they have to put all these other prisoners into the ones that are remaining?
I don't know. I know that people are doing fucked up shit, getting away with, right? What was it, the $900?
Look,
and they let you out.
You can go to Walmart. You can go to Walmart today, steal $949 worth of stuff, and you'll get what is equivalent to a jaywalking ticket. And then tomorrow, you can go steal $949 worth of stuff, and you'll get what's equivalent to a jaywalking ticket. And you can continuously do that for as long as you want.
When did that start happening? Just
less than 2 years ago.
2 years ago with the Biden administration coming in? Or was
No, I
that
don't think
kind
the
of,
Biden
was that just
administration had-
California being laxative with stuff?
Yeah, that's strictly a California-based thing.
Okay.
I don't want to say that other states aren't like that, but I would have to think that's a California-only issue. So, yeah, you can get caught with personal use drugs, meth, crack, and I don't know what they would consider personal use, but it's a ticket. I got to,
Even with meth?
You know that there's a lot of law enforcement that comes to the gym, and I'm personal friends with a few of them, and they're like, yeah, I used to arrest people for felonies for meth or crack, whatever they're using on it. I don't know, their drugs and stuff like that. But he goes, now I basically give them a ticket, and they get right back out. He goes, there's no teeth to, we have no teeth to our laws.
Do you, being a business owner, do you have to deal with like homelessness? Does that affect your gym at all? I know that now that you have a key system, it's different, but prior to that, anybody could come in at any moment, right? And
yeah, we don't have too many walk-ins. There was a lot of problems with them sleeping in the back, because we never had
behind the building.
We never had lights or anything back there. And I went to the local law enforcement and I go, hey, what can I do as a business owner to, eradicate this issue? Because I'm constantly calling you, we got this person here or that. And they go, light it up. Put as many lights as you can on that building and light it up. And they go, they don't like to sleep under the lights. And we did. And for the most part, it really alleviated the issue. Yeah, that's for the last 4 or 5 years, we haven't had too much. I know across the street behind the Harbor Freight, it's not lit up. And I've stood in the doorway and watched them build a fire over there.
Jesus.
It's like, and I'm calling the fire department because I don't want that building catching on fire. Those old mattresses and stuff there.
Yeah, we've had a similar issue because the railroad tracks is right behind my business, and there's actually a gas line. There's a gas line running back there, and there was an idiot back there who was like getting pieces of rock, and you could see the rock because I'm not there in the middle of the night, you know?
Right.
And our cameras are only pointing so far. We can't really point out, just our surrounding vicinities. And there's this one guy that we'll leave him alone, right? Because I'm very strict with it, where I don't want it anywhere around the building, because the dollar store is a corporation, so the employees are limited what they can do. Right. There was like a video that went viral on social media, I don't know how many years ago, of this crackhead or something smashing like a cart, and this one employee went over there and like pushed them out, and I don't know what happened, but
did that employee get sued?
Probably got fired, right? Something happened, but it's just like, these people are off their hinges. You know what I mean? There's attacks in LA with machetes, like all these crazy things. And I don't want that anywhere around my business or my customers. My customers should be able to get out of their car and not have anybody bug them. Exactly. I don't want to, if I was a customer, I don't want to deal with that. I'm busting my ass getting by and I don't have nothing extra. Like, there's services for people, there's so many things for everyone, and they choose to live like that. Some of them, yes, I get it, they're addicted to stuff in it, but there's still services. Like, if you really want to change it, you can do it, but they rather do their drugs and be out there doing whatever they want and just causing all this havoc. And like, I'm super strict about it, like getting it away from the business. And that's like one thing that people don't know, or people say, well, why are you being like, I remember seeing a thing on Instagram where this homeless guy grabbed like an umbrella from like a cafe or something, and I don't know if it was the owner or whatever, went over there to try to grab it back, and the homeless guy punched him, right? And the other guy didn't even do nothing. He just tried to, and the homeless guy was like hanging onto it and like kicking him, and I'm like, dude, that guy should get punched too. He just, well, if you get attacked, you get the right to fight back.
You're supposed to be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
if he was punched first,
Yes.
he should be able to defend himself.
But you should have seen all the comments. Poor guy.
I could imagine.
Poor guy. It looks like he needed it more than him. I'm like, okay, give me your address. I could send some people to go get stuff from your backyard since he's
No,
saying.
because that's, remember I was telling you earlier, it's always, you get the critics out there that will say, well, he didn't have anything, or but as soon as it's something that was taken from them, then all of a sudden it's, why hasn't anybody done anything about these people? It's amazing how as soon as the shoe's on the other foot, how their attitude changes, and all of a sudden they're not so liberal anymore. Then all of a sudden they become this, oh, maybe we should have some kind of law about that. Because if it doesn't affect you, it's easy to ignore it.
Yeah.
But when it starts affecting you, that's why if the majority of the people in California knew what businesses had to go through to stay in business in California, I think they would be a little less judgmental about how businesses are trying to operate and how they're trying to stay in business. I was like, we're losing businesses just left and right.
I think what people think, Dennis, is they think you have a business and you just have
You're automatically wealthy.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people think that, oh my God, you're a business owner. Well, you're rich. It's like, so if that's the case, why are businesses going out of business if these people are rich? It's like, because they haven't been there. They don't see payroll. They don't see workers' comp. Man, if they've seen the amount of bills it takes just to break even.
Electrical.
Oh my God, PG&E.
How much is your electrical during the summer, Dennis?
The summer PG&E bills will get as high as $8,000 a month.
Jesus.
They used to be in the wintertime, they'd be about $1,400. Last winter, because they did some raises, PG&E got some raises through the Public Utility Commissioner, and they were right around $2,200 to $2,700 wintertime. That's over right around $1,400 that we used to have.
How many square feet is your facility?
24,000.
24,000? Okay.
So,
but yeah, it just, people don't look at none of those things. And like, I remember when I saw I always find it funny when I see people at Planet Fitness and just post, because it's all the purple stuff and it's a bunch of cardio stuff. When shit gets broken, they're not fixing it, right? Like, yes, you're working out for $5 or $10 a month, but what does that equate to, right? Like, that's a thing that, I don't know, corporations, why do they do that? Do they have that much money that they're trying to bleed all the other businesses out to thinking
Sure.
that is that what they're doing?
Sure.